day, everyone. My name is Elisa Baselt, and I am the Chief Learning Officer at the Canadian Physiotherapy Association. I will be moderating this session. Today's session is called Clinical Services to Virtual Services, Driving Change. We will hear from Maria Miliotto, and following that, we'll have the opportunity to answer some questions. Please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to ask your questions. In addition, we will be recording today's webinar, and it will be made available on CPA's channels. I would now like to introduce our speaker. Maria Miliotto has been a physical therapist since 1995. She graduated from McGill and completed her MBA at HEC Montreal in 2003, and in 2018, she completed a board governance program from Laval University. Since 2007, Maria has been the Vice President of External Affairs at the FCPQ, a federation that unites hundreds of clinics across Quebec. She is also the Vice President for Quebec for Physiothérapie Universelle, acquired by Lifemark Health since February 2018. Maria manages 27 clinics in Quebec. Her role is to help grow clinics and lead effectively through innovation and change management within the Lifemark network in Quebec. I will now turn the session over to Maria to share a bit about what she is seeing with COVID-19.
Thank you, Elisa. So you can hear me well? It's all good?
We can.
Yes,
thank you.
Good. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me today. I'm very honored to speak to you a little bit about what's happening with COVID-19. As you all know, it has changed our world in physiotherapy. I gave this class to McGill students a couple of weeks ago, and they really enjoyed it. So I said, you know what, we'll see with the CPA and see if I can share this knowledge with other clinicians and other physio owners. So it's really to go from clinical services to virtual services, how we drive that change. And you all know, I think that everything went so quickly. March 16 here in Quebec, when Le Ministre Legault changed really our world, when we started changing and going towards the virtual services and seeing closing clinics and everything that happened. So we said, okay, this is, after the whirlwind, I said to myself, you know what, this is an opportunity. And what I'll do is I went back to really how we manage change, how we can grow within this turmoil. So the presentation is a little bit about Cotter, and I'll talk to you about Cotter, how we drove that change from clinical services to virtual in a very short time with 27 clinics. So that's going to be the presentation, really. So after that, I can take questions. So who are we? When we're speaking about the Federation, we are 280 clinics within the province, around 3,000 employees. We really look to help clinic owners in order to navigate this change of COVID-19 that since the last month has been really what we've been doing. So speaking also about Physiothérapie Universelle and Lifemark, so we're the Quebec part of Lifemark, which is a wonderful organization. So we're really, sports, all like orthopedics, pediatrics, we have some PTs, OTs, kins, psychologists. So we do work rehab, a little bit of everything for in rehab. And that's when we said that every challenge comes with opportunities. At the beginning, when all this started, we, how do we go about it? And that's when we saw opportunities, innovation, innovation through rehab. So we said there's the interdisciplinary work and the virtual care. So how can we put these opportunities, these challenges, and bring them in opportunities? And virtual care really was what it's all about. And what I've seen within the organization at the Federation, and I have to say how people are coming together, how these opportunities are just building, and this is the presentation, is how can we go get the best out of people? How can this challenge really become where you grow from it. And this is what the presentation is about. So physiotherapy, I mean, how wonderful and what a great field we're in. We're really active living partners with our clients, our patients. So what a wonderful field, I think, to be in right now, especially with this change that's happened and how it has really transformed our industry. You know, we went from first seeing only non-emergency cases through virtually. Then the province, we wanted to set an example and say, you know what, we can also see emergency cases and non-emergency cases through virtually. That's what we're striving for here. What's our role as physios in this crisis? I think that was for me a big one, saying, you know, I think our role also is for patients or clients that need us, for them not to go to the emergency room. What can we do to help through this crisis? And that's really our role as physios. So setting up staff from clinical to virtual in 8 days. And I think through 27 clinics, that's what we did. And that was a challenge, but also filled with opportunities. How we did it is really through Cotter. So I went back to, and I'll give you the referrals. I have some books that I can give you after the presentation. And I really went back to how can we have this change? Because people were talking about change, how change management, but this was nothing that I thought we would require and that we would do. So I went back to the books and I said, you know what, the leadership and management, that's what change requires. So I took out Cotter. It's going to be with his model. And really, this is the model that I applied in Quebec with also the head office of LifeMark with their help. And this is what we put in. I must say in Quebec, we have, like in every province where I work, with who I work, we have wonderful teams. So what the change requires. So really there's two, and this is in order for any change to happen, you need management and leadership. So the management piece is really about planning, about, budgeting or organizing. And I think that was the big piece, is how we organize our staff, who goes on CERB, on EI, and all the everything we were waiting from the government. Also, every day there was new, even till today, there's new challenges that arrive, but also so happy to be Canadian and to be in this country where we're getting a lot of support from the government. So in order for us to have this change, really what we need is a mix of management, effective management, and also leadership, establishing direction, aligning people, and motivating and inspiring. And this is what we're seeing here in Quebec with Le Ministre Legault, where really he's leading the province. And I think this is where, in time of turmoil, people have to feel that you're there for them, that you're transparent, that you're able to say really what it is. And that's, for me, the most important part. So it's to lead effectively, establishing that direction and really reassuring others and aligning people. Motivating and inspiring by our actions, and trying to coach them in that. So what we've seen also is that the larger the change, the more leadership is required. And what we've done in Quebec is also, we've had mornings, every morning, a call with all our teams, with our clinic directors. So we have one at 8 and one at 5. So we have 2 meetings for the first 2 weeks. and after that you can have one meeting every morning. But that's what we did, and I think that by reassuring, by things going on and just being there and establishing a direction, that's what people look for. So for a change to be meaningful, for it to be really worthwhile, is to lead effectively. So that's something motivating and inspiring. So the larger the change, the more leadership is required. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure this is what happened in your clinics, is that you don't need to have a title to be a leader. And what I've seen is that people step up, and we've seen some people that are, because of COVID-19, have caused a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. And like I tell, our managers, is there's no judgment. Every person has their own, the way they're dealing with this change, whatever they're dealing with. So what we're trying to be is really a great leader. And what I also say, after this crisis, what's going to be left? What's left is our reputation. What's left is how we manage this change, how we were there for them, for our staff. So that's like a big one. When you take decisions, always think, how will I be remembered after this crisis? Because there will be a post-COVID. And for me, well, to be there for people, to say that I was there for them, that as an organization, we're there to listen to, their preoccupations. For me, that's really important. And what I've seen also is that leaders exist at every level. Leadership, you see people that just step up, people that are always there, that work with passion. And that's what we've been seeing in this in this COVID time. Also at the Federation, there's a lot of us that are competitors working, but you know what, there's nobody, everybody's coming together. Nobody is there just for themselves. We're there for the industry. So that's really great. Leadership is just, it's just been great, and you need that leadership if you want to have the change. So model the change and not force the change upon others is something that is really important. We'll talk about the virtual care in just a minute. So if we go with Cotter, Cotter is really known. You can look up his books. He's really known for change management, and I inspired myself on Cotter to lead the teams in Quebec. So the first thing in every change is urgency. So we'll go through every step. So true urgency is a prerequisite to change. And virtual care went out in our organization maybe like 2 months ago or a month ago. Nobody was really doing any virtual care. But boy, did this change with this urgency. And if this was not an urgency, I don't know what it was. So we did get a true urgency where from one day to the other, the clinics, we had to find other ways of serving and really of offering our services. So it did become a true urgency, and that's what prompted everybody to go through virtual care and to use this virtual care in order to treat our patients. So in order for a change to happen, there needs to be a true urgency. The urgent behavior has to be there, and it's alert, and I'm sure you lived it the last month. It's fast moving, continuously, to make time for important ones. So all the little details that we used to have before, or the management issues, were out of the door. Now we had a focus, and it's the urgent behavior. And it's important also that your team know that, they actually, in this time, everybody knew that it was urgent. We had to find other ways of treating, and that's what we did. So how we build true urgency, for sure, in our case, it was evident, but we really brought the outside reality in. We behaved with urgency every day, telling everyone, guys, we need to find solution. Virtual care is the solution for us, and this is how we'll go about it and how we'll support you. So find the opportunity in the crisis is really what we did. And it's so funny because this slide is really from Cotter. As you see, it's from Harvard. And I haven't changed anything, and it's so much applies to our situation, where you say to find the opportunity in crisis and the communication part. So I think that if there's one thing, you have to speak with your teams every day. And especially in a changing time, communication is really like key. So what are we urgent about? And that's something that has to be shared with your team and make them come out with it. What are we urgent about is really, you know, keeping that contact with our clients that need physio, that need our services. So what are we urgent about? Ask your teams what they think and what's important for them, and make sure that we're all aligned together. So after that, that's the first step. So first step is the sense of urgency. And as you see, sense of urgency, for sure, that was on our plate in March. After that, it's create our guiding coalition. So what does that mean? It's really to go to find the people that will believe, that people that are going to change, that people are going to help us. So our champions. What's our guiding coalition? Like how will we be together as a team? So in order for you to develop a guiding coalition where there's going to be a team that will push through this change, they will have a shared objective, that's for sure. So, to develop virtual care. If there's no way that change will happen if people don't trust you, if people don't trust the team. And that's something that we really have very strong in our team, is that we trust each other. We know that every single one in our team is doing the best they can. And I trust that when they have something in their hands, they will take it to the next level. So we trust each other. The right people that have that credibility. Passion powers change. And that's something I'm sure you've seen, is that in this turmoil, people are stepping up, where everybody's working really long hours, but not only long hours, just passionately. And that's when you see that passion powers change. And that's really what we've done. So nobody in our team said we have to. Okay, so it's we want to. We need to get to. And that's where, when the person on your team will say they want to instead of have to, that's where we have to have the switch for the change to happen. So, what are the challenges and opportunities that we saw? From our part, our technology was not ready for virtual care. I mean, that's something we really struggled. And in 8 days, how do we get teams to, the technological challenges? So the e-charting, we ordered laptops. From one day to the next, physios were treating from home when they were used to being in the clinics. So that was like that was really a challenge. Training challenges. So many physios, they're especially our F camps, they're so used to working with their hands. How do you go from like touching people and working with them and touching them to a computer? A lot of them don't even know how to use a computer because they're so used to working with their hands. So that were like the challenges that we were having. As I said, the opportunity is that as a team, I feel we really got much closer because we've been working together every day in order for this change to happen. So meetings every morning with our clinic directors, and actually with our area managers, we have meetings in the mornings and in the evening. People that know me and that work with me, I often say, our bus, ready to get on our bus. So another great book that I love is called Good to Great. And they always say, how do we get people on our bus? So there's some people that cannot get on the bus or do not belong on our bus. And I always say every person that comes on our bus has a place in our bus. Sometimes they're sitting in front, sometimes they're sitting, but everybody has a place on our bus. So when this happened, I really asked every one of our clinic directors, are you ready to get on this bus with us? So for me, that's an important for people to reflect if that's what they wanted to do, if virtual care was something that they wanted. As I said before, there's some that decided for some reason, some of them have kids at home and just could not do virtual care, full-time or part-time. So some of them, for other reasons, just didn't feel they're. One of them actually told me, I'm going to pass. It's too much stress for me. So, what we decided on our team is no judgment. I mean, especially in these times of crisis, people can choose to really do as they really feel they can. So when we looked at the leaders, I think this one was, we'll go on to step 3, which is develop our change vision. So, we've had the urgency. We've had the Guiding Coalition, which is really a group of people with the change that's going to happen. And now it's like, how do we develop the vision? What's the vision? Where are we going? So it's important that you tell your team, guys, this is where we're going. This is what we want. This is our, often I go a lot with targets. So I find targets really help people, especially in teams. So say, like our target is for you to develop 25% of virtual care. We'll support you through it, but give targets. So that's something that's really important. Develop our change vision. And not only just words. Often I say a vision inspires people to take action. Act on your vision. Don't just say it and not act by it. So that's something that we did, is that we inspired our teams and said, this is the vision we want. We're really going towards virtual care and supporting you in it. And when you are doing that vision, it has to be achievable. So that 25% of that target that you put, make sure it's achievable. We've achieved it in 3 weeks. So we put in a 25% target, and in 3 weeks we've achieved it. And that gives satisfaction to the teams that they're working towards something that's achievable. The vision also, people have to see themselves in it. So paint a picture of it in the future. It has to appeal to employees' hearts and minds. And what we've seen are people being alone right now at home. And I can't begin to tell you how many patients are saying, I'm so happy you've called. People want that contact. They're so happy the physio is calling them. And this really, we see employees. We had one clinic director that wasn't sure and said, you know what, I'll stay on EI. And he still came to all our meetings. And when he started hearing about other people like having the virtual care, offering that virtual care and having that feedback, he started doing it. So, that feedback, that positive, it has to appeal to the employees' minds and hearts. And it's specific enough to help individuals. That vision has to be specific. It can't just be something in the air. And also it has to be flexible. And what we said is, if that target of 25% is too difficult, we'll go back. So people have to feel that there's that, it's a new situation for everybody. And also it has to be easily communicated. When you have that meeting, begin with your vision. This is where we're going. This is what we want. So bring that up often. I think that's important. Communicate. I think that I've said it. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I mean, it has to be constant. It has to be consistent. It has to be, we need to make adjustments in what they do and who and how they do it, but it needs a communication needs to be there, and that's the most important thing. Just think of post-COVID. Post-COVID, people have to see that your staffs, your clients, that you were there for them. I think that's a really important. When I say be a broken record on where we're going, why we're doing it, and it's really to help our clients, our patients, to be there when they need us most. There's a vision and then there's action. And the ones that know me, action is something that we talk about the vision, but then how do we put it into really action-based strategies. The barriers are, honestly, we didn't have many barriers. There's some people that, like we say, virtual care is scary for them, which we understand. So the mindset is very important, and that could be common barriers. I think what really for us made it were generate the short-term wins, which was step 6. And that was great because at the beginning, a lot of physios were thinking virtual care is not going to be for everybody. And more we started sharing, and what we did is we asked our clinic directors and our staff to send us, like, we got emails of clients that were so happy. You know, what are your winning situations? Like, what, give us like positive feedback on what's happening on the you know, really with the virtual care. And this was great. I mean, this is what really helped us, is that we saw like how people were so happy, patients were so happy to hear from us. So short-term wins must be visible, relevant, celebrated. You know, that physio that wasn't sure about virtual rehab and now is really getting a great pull on it, celebrate it. You know, I think it's important to celebrate the successes. And that's how change happens, when people are not sure and they're not. So give them the training they need, give them what they need. And then when it does, you know, plan out and it just celebrate it. I think that's something, because we're all so busy, and the change celebration right now is really important. Yeah, bulletin boards, dedicated section on the intranet, or regular email updates. You know, so let's be, anything that's positive on that change that you're doing, communicate it. I think that's never let up is something that we really try to do, and always go towards like what we think is best for the company, for the employee, for the patient. Incorporate that change into our culture. As you all know, virtual care is here to stay. And that's what I'm telling the staff. Guys, this is going to be our future. Not only virtual care, but virtual care will still be present post-COVID. So incorporate that change into our culture. And I think that's, and this is really what's happening with us, is the change becomes the way we do things around here. Virtual care will be part of physiotherapy, will be part of the way we give services. So just think about that. We'll be able to give services to, you know, a lot of areas in Quebec or Canada where there are no physios that are available. So this has a very positive outlook for the future. This one is really what I love about it. So if I'll send you the presentation, or I think Elisa will put it up. The 8 accelerators. Create a sense of urgency around a single big opportunity, which is virtual care. Celebrate the short-term wins. Never let up. Keep learning. You know, puts those strategic changes in our culture. Build and maintain a guiding coalition. Get people around you. Get your champions. You have to have your champions that really believe in virtual care and how it can be addressed. That vision has to be attainable. You know, put like clear goals to your team so they know where you're going. And if those goals after a week or 2 are not attained, well, don't be shy to go back and review them. And I think the best is be there for people, communicate with them, and that's the only way we're going to have lasting change. So these are the Cotter reading list. If ever it's something that you know, I think it's great to read these books if you're leading change, if you have some change in your clinics, and how do you go to virtual care. The one that for me was really great was the Sense of Urgency, is the one that I loved, and the Leading Change one. So that's it. Oh my God, I did 30 minutes on the dot, Elisa.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Maria. That was wonderful. We're happy to take questions. Please input your questions in the Q&A function. Maria, one of the questions that we have is, as you were working through the process and implementing this change, what were some of the specific or sort of practical aspects that your physiotherapists were dealing with when it was coming to the virtual services themselves? So were there roadblocks, were there challenges, were there things that were easier to embrace than others?
Yes. So for us, I think it's the technology. Anything that had to do with technology was more difficult. So what we did is we put up a team that really, when the physios had, well, not a team, but a person that when a physio had challenges can ask their questions. So I think for us was the technological part. So that's the support we gave. So when we saw that they were having trouble with the technology, was we put somebody that loves technology. We have one that really is, we have our marketing guy that's really good. And if you don't have a marketing guy, maybe somebody in your team that's more like easier with, more at ease with technology, then that person can respond. So for us, that was and what was easier was all the, I think like physios, we love to help people. And what was easiest for the physios was that contact. So in Quebec, I know it wasn't like that in the other provinces. We could have done FaceTime and the phone was part of the virtual care. So we started without the technological right away, the system, we started just with FaceTime, because most people that was easiest, just to get our therapist used to doing virtual care through FaceTime. So that was one strategy we did. And they are actually starting on our system. It's called AdraCare. We're starting on Monday, next Monday. So we've given them like a month, 3 weeks to get used to offering the service on virtual care and really through FaceTime. That for Quebec was approved by our college.
Okay, great. There's quite a few questions here around the platform and making the decision around the platform and what you're looking for. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, so depending on, we used Zoom. I know in Quebec we have Medexa, we have AndraCare. I know AndraCare is very health focused, so focused on really the health piece. It's called OrbCare and AndraCare. And in Quebec, there's Medexa, which I hear is very, very good. And it's also offered in Canada. And I heard it's very easy to get onto. So if you have maybe smaller clinics, Medexa is something. There's also Clinic Master, I believe. But those are the ones that I know of.
Great, thank you. A question here around some of the specifics of the therapies. Do you know of any literature or authors around the optimal setup, camera angles, sort of very specific things like that?
No, I don't, but I can get some. I can get some for you. I can see what I know that we had an Australian researcher from Australia, and I could send you maybe Elisa the link, and we can put it up to.
Absolutely.
Okay, so an Australian author on virtual care, and that's like what he recommends as a physio assessment and all that. So that's something that I can send to you. I have his contact.
That's great. Yeah, that we can definitely share that. So a bit of a question in terms of as your team was adopting virtual care, were you guys already using online? Online anything, kind of medical records, anything like that? So you started from
scratch. Yes. Okay. So we really started from scratch. So we had all the everything was scanned, and we had our secretaries go in and really scan all the reports, security-wise, sent to a therapist. So no, we didn't have any of that, and we still don't have the e-charting in. We will be having it, soon. But now it was really getting used to not touching people and doing it on camera and on via computer. I think that was the #1 challenge.
Great, wonderful, thank you. You spoke about your physiotherapists making the decision around, did they want to do virtual? Were they in a position to do it? So this specific question, are your physios on a wage subsidy or CERB? There's a lot of conversation around that.
Yes,
you can talk a little bit about what your experience has been. I think that'd be helpful for people.
Sure. So what we've done is most of them, yes, they're on CERB. And what we've done with that is we've let them work less than 10 hours. So we took that 10 hours and they were used to work less than 10 hours. And as we saw, the government yesterday, I believe, or Monday, they talked about $1,000. Now it's $1,000 a week, a month. So it's like $250 a week. That's how much they can do and not be affected on CERB. So that's, so what we did is we chose, there's some therapists that chose to come back at 100% that their work, so they have most of the patients on their schedules. And then there's some other that just have done 10 hours or less hours. Some of them do 6 hours, 7 hours, just to keep contact with their patients.
Okay, great, thank you. A question around the cost of the services and your charging and that sort of thing.
Yes, I could talk about that.
Please.
So that was a discussion we had within our teams at the federation, at the on my teams, and our services are the same. And that I really persist on saying, guys, this is the future. This is the way our clinics are going to be, offering these services. They're being offered by the same physiotherapist with the same background. So the service is the same. And at the Federation in Quebec, we've decided that it's going to be the same amount as in clinic services will be charged at the virtual care. What we've added were sometimes people were not sure or having like a 15-minute consultation. So we've added something like that, but really it's the same. So if you have 30 minutes or if you have a treatment, and not talking time, but saying a treatment, it's the same cost as same price. And for us, that's important. We have value, our therapists have value, and that's what we've decided. It's just same services, just given in a different way.
Great. Are you doing initial assessments virtually?
Yes, initial assessments are being done virtually.
And what strategies were put into place for safety and how was that worked through?
What do you mean for the safety?
The question, I think, just understanding working with someone initially, what are some of the overall safety aspects that were put into place?
I mean, what we've done is we really went with the camera, like they have to be FaceTime. We didn't do assessments on the phone. So where people have to be like, assessed through virtually. So that's what we've done. That's like the secure, I don't know any other ways we've done it, but it was through camera and looking at the assessments and the measurements, and we just like work with them that way.
I think we have worked our way through
the questions.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add sort of in conclusion before we wrap up?
No, so thank you so much for having me. I think this challenge for myself has been great, even though it's been painful because a lot of work, but so much so, it's great to be part of this change and how this change happens. And just remember that I think that what's come out at the Federation, at the company, is we see people just stepping up and working with passion. So enjoy the ride, and I hope it goes well. And if ever you have questions, please reach out to me through my email. I think we can send my email and just reach out to me. It would be great to hear from you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maria. So in terms of sort of little wrap-up pieces, I will put Maria's email in the chat box in 1 second. You're also welcome to reach out to information@physiotherapy.ca. We are constantly updating the resources that are available there. And sorry, there's her email. So if you have other questions, you're welcome to reach out to her directly. I would like to thank Maria very much for delivering this presentation, joining us today, and answering all of the questions.
Thank you.
I hope those of you that were attending found it valuable.
Yes,
and
I hope so.
Have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.